In this episode of Calmly Coping, I'm going to talk all about high-functioning anxiety. What does it really mean? What types of behaviors, thoughts, and emotions occur as a result of high-functioning anxiety? And what lies underneath the behaviors that occur when you have high-functioning anxiety? Do you have it? Let's dive in and find out. Welcome to Calmly Coping, where I provide overthinkers with actionable tips to cope with anxiety and stress calmly and mindfully. I'm your host, Tati Garcia. I'm a licensed therapist specializing in anxiety treatment. I love running, and I'm addicted to self-improvement books. Join me as I help you understand how to cultivate calm from within while uncovering your unique strengths so that you can live a more fulfilling life. This is episode number 6, Signs You Have High-Functioning Anxiety. Do you overthink things a lot? Are you a high-achieving perfectionist who has difficulty saying no, always needs to be busy, has impossibly high standards, and still appears put together, calm, and successful to others? And yet you're struggling with self-doubt, worrying, and overanalyzing things on the inside? You might have high-functioning anxiety. So today we're going to talk all about this, how it can propel you forward and at the same time hold you back. Thank you so much for tuning in. This episode is brought to you by my free guide, How to Be More Productive Without Burning Out. Inside this free guide, you will learn how to create the optimal environment for productivity, how to create a routine to maximize your productivity and focus, and my secret to motivating yourself when you just can't focus. You can find this at calmlycoping.com/productive. Today, you're going to learn what is high-functioning anxiety and the difference between what others see and how you feel on the inside, along with an action plan to help you identify how high-functioning anxiety impacts your life. I just want to clarify, this podcast episode, just like any other piece of information on the internet, is not a diagnostic tool, and it can never replace the advice of your own mental health professional. And high-functioning anxiety is not actually a recognized mental disorder. And that's because one of the main criteria that needs to be met in order for you to be diagnosed with a mental disorder, such as generalized anxiety disorder, is that it has to, quote, cause clinically significant distress or impairment in social, occupational, or other important areas of functioning, unquote. This means that your anxiety prevents you from functioning at work, in social situations, or prevents you from doing important tasks in your day-to-day life. If that's not the case, that's when high-functioning anxiety may come in, because it's actually the exact opposite with high-functioning anxiety. You're probably an overachiever and doing exceptionally well in school, at work, in your relationships. That's because you can be a perfectionist, and ultimately you fear failure, disappointing others, and feeling out of control in situations. So as a result, you over-prepare and overthink. So what I'm going to do today is break down high-functioning anxiety to help you understand it better and so that you can identify. Does this sound like you? Imagine you have to make a decision regarding whether or not you should respond to an email. The person responded to an email that you sent by saying, "Thank you so much for the quick response." So you read this email and then you go back and forth in your head. Should I respond and say, "You're welcome," or "No problem," or "Don't mention it"? What if they think I'm rude for not responding? Would it be excessive and unnecessary to send a response? Are they even going to notice if I don't respond? Will it look like I don't care if I don't respond? All of this happens within a period of 30 seconds within you receiving this email. It's honestly exhausting and just one example of how you can appear calm to others on the outside, while inside there's a storm of overthinking and worrying going on. Do you find yourself feeling burnt out, overwhelmed, and constantly running on the hamster wheel of busyness and productivity? You so badly need a break, yet you find yourself constantly adding more responsibilities to your plate and continuing to say yes to new projects, assignments, and social outings. And you start to feel resentful towards your friends who you have said yes to and towards your boss that gave you these new projects. You are torn between feeling overworked and feeling like you constantly need to be doing more in order to be successful and feel happy. And it feels like a never-ending battle. Sound familiar? I want to clarify one thing. People do not fit perfectly into boxes of different labels and symptoms. People are complex and complicated. But at the same time, whether it's the result of genetics, how you were raised, or societal norms, there do tend to be similarities between people, their behaviors, their thoughts, and their emotions. Ultimately, when these similarities exist, they can be used as a tool to understand yourself better and to find ways to grow, cope with difficulty, and maximize your strengths. That being said, I want to talk about the difference between what high-functioning anxiety looks like on the outside versus what it feels like on the inside. On the outside, you're probably hardworking, ambitious, successful, and a high achiever. You have very high standards for yourself, and it shows in your quality of work and potentially the attention that you put towards your relationships. You are helpful to others, loyal, and you often say yes to helping others or to new opportunities. You are detail-oriented, organized, and always want to be well prepared. You appear calm, in control, and you function well under pressure. These are all great qualities to have, right? Which is why you may not necessarily qualify for a mental health diagnosis. You are successful and appear so put together to others on the outside. But on the inside, it's a different story. You feel burnt out, stressed, overwhelmed, and you have difficulty saying no to others because you fear you will disappoint them or miss out on an opportunity. It's easier to sacrifice your own needs to help others, and you tend to overextend yourself. You always need to be busy because you feel lazy and unproductive otherwise. And you have impossibly high standards, and as a result, you never feel like you're doing enough, or like it's never good enough. You either procrastinate or overplan things. And you need to think about every possibility and make sure you are making the, quote, right choice because you fear making the, quote, wrong choice. You fear uncertainty and maybe experience physical symptoms like a pit in your stomach or pressure on your chest or tension in your back. You might have nervous habits such as biting or picking at your nails, muscle twitches, or tapping your foot. Your overthinking and worrying makes it difficult to concentrate and focus. And you do things because you fear negative consequences and judgment, and not always because you actually want to do them. So as you've heard, your internal and external worlds are pretty different. And maybe you felt like all of this was just normal because it's become so familiar to you. But the problem with being propelled by these internal struggles and fears is that you're going to reach a breaking point. You're going to continue living your life out of fear and not out of what you actually value and desire. Do you resonate with this description of high-functioning anxiety and want to go deeper? I'd love to have a conversation with you and learn more about your experience with high-functioning anxiety. DM me on Instagram at TatianaGLPC. You can find the link in the show notes or the description if you're on YouTube. I will be talking more about treatment options for anxiety, including high-functioning anxiety, in the next episode, so stay tuned for that. So to wrap up, today I talked about the signs of high-functioning anxiety. When you overthink things a lot, you're high-achieving with perfectionistic tendencies, you might have difficulty saying no, you often need to be busy, you have impossibly high standards, yet you appear put together, calm, and successful to others. And yet on the inside, you're struggling with anxiety, self-doubt, worrying, and overanalyzing things. Sometimes this anxiety can propel you forward and at the same time hold you back. And it can be difficult and frustrating. Your action tip, if you resonate with the description of high-functioning anxiety, is to grab a journal and write about how it impacts your life. For example, how does it feel to always need to be busy and to have such high expectations? Does it impact your mood, your relationships, or other things? Use this as a starting point and just brain dump your thoughts after listening to this episode. If you like this episode, take a screenshot of yourself listening to it and share it to your Instagram stories using the hashtag calmlycoping and tag me at TatianaGLPC. High-functioning anxiety can be hidden in plain sight, and just having that awareness is the first step towards creating a life that you love. Thanks so much for listening. If you like what you heard, please share this episode with a friend, and please subscribe and leave me a review on iTunes. Also, remember to check me out online at calmlycoping.com and connect with me on Instagram at TatianaGLPC. All content here is for informational purposes only. This content does not replace the professional judgment of your own mental health provider. Please consult a licensed mental health professional for all individual questions and issues. Till next time, I'm Tati, and this has been Calmly Coping.